Welcome to your in-depth horoscope forecast for week commencing the 10th of August for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap the bell notification symbol. You can also chat with me directly on Twitter at Horoscope Ace. Be great to have you along. Or join Elisa and I for the daily astrology and tarot video show by clicking the link below. Now this week is set to be tremendously powerful. The Sun continues in the sign of Leo, which is about magnificence. It's about a display of talent, enthusiasm, warmth. And that's pushing us to do some good stuff. We also have Mercury there, but it's clashing on Monday and Tuesday with Uranus, the planet of freedom. And that can make us a bit more impulsive, particularly with our resources. Now, we also have a quarter moon on Tuesday, which emphasizes the same axis, the second, fifth house. So over the next week, we may encounter someone who sees it only right and proper that we bail them out of some kind of financial mire that they're in. Well, it's important to be kind to people, of course, but it's also important that people take responsibility for their own issues. So finding a balance around resources and affection is important on the back of Mercury square with Uranus and that quarter moon, which provides a backdrop for the rest of this week. But of course, Mars is in its home zone and it is clashing this week with mighty but tiny Pluto. Now, when these two come into conflict, or if they're in someone's natal chart, it creates a kind of control power battle. Mars is very impulsive in Aries, and Pluto in Capricorn is about maintaining the status quo in terms of more traditional power. So if, for example, we encounter someone at work where perhaps they're more established in the environment that we're having to operate within. So maybe you've joined a company or a business and there's a way of doing things and you're seeing a more dynamic way of being, and that could create some kind of power dynamic and some powerful repercussions. It can see people unprepared to back down from their position. Now later in the week, towards the weekend, Mars is clashing with Saturn. That creates a more restrictive energy, a more frustrating one, and for sure we have to be conscious that Mars is about living in the moment in the sign of Aries, and these big beasts in the sign of Capricorn, which includes Jupiter, the posse as I've been calling them in Capricorn, they all represent different things, but Mars is not an influence which is so much about collaboration, not in the sign of Aries. It's about getting on with it quickly. So we may have to temper our desire to get our own way or to interact with someone where there's some kind of accommodation that's mutually made, but on both sides there may be a reluctance to back down. So it can be quite, to be honest, Mars squaring Pluto can be a very rugged influence. So traditionally in astrology textbooks they say don't visit the downtown part of your area, anywhere that tends to have a greater amount of crime, steer clear of. So it is important to be aware of our impulses and also how our direction of travel towards our ambitions need to be mastered. We need to kind of work to a degree with what's expected of us, but at the same time try to find our individuality. Now the Sun, ironically, is actually in a quincunx with Pluto for the whole of this week. So the Sun's creativity and warmth is being tempered by Pluto's power as well. So I think a lot of us are going to be somewhat frustrated this week. The Sun's also in a quincunx with Neptune, which is very deflating of energy and drive. So the best way to deal with all of this stuff is to set reasonable objectives and understand that some people could take some very polarized positions and appear to refuse to budge. We may also be on the end of someone else's ruthless behavior, and it's important to know when we can push back. So just watch out for someone bending the rules in order to suit their desire and ambitions at your cost. So just a bit of a pointer. Now, Uranus actually goes into a retrograde on Saturday, and one which is going to last into early next year. So our whole relationship with having our voice heard about the things we're unhappy about also can be tempered, but it's asking us, the retrograde, to think inside about our relationship to independence, freedom, and being a bit more spontaneous as well. Now, there are some interesting links at the end of this week. The Sun and Mercury come together in a conjunction, which is known as combust. And in the sign of Mercury, that could see some people having some eureka moments around creativity. Maybe there's going to be a passionate embrace with someone, but the chances are it will be a meeting of minds that creates the embrace in the first place because of Mercury. And also, Venus, which is now domiciled in Cancer, is actually in a great link with Uranus in the last couple of days of this week, suggesting that if we can try to find a way to invest in our emotions, but in an imaginative way, so that maybe, for example, getting in touch with someone more spontaneously, Uranus, who haven't had any contact with for a while. Maybe it's about changing our space at home, decluttering, doing something imaginative, not being quite so hidebound in our approach to how we live, who we live with, or exactly even where. But Mars, Pluto and Saturn in those big clashes is really heavy stuff, and it's going to be going on, quite frankly, through to the middle of October. So we've all got to get used to the fact that there are going to be some challenges to our desire to be individual free spirits. Chances are that this is going to come very much into focus around COVID, the economy, because that collection of influences in Capricorn is obviously about traditional business, and the way things have always been done is obviously changing. There are certain sectors that are almost being annihilated by COVID. So this clash, this collision that's going on between the earnestness of Mars to do it without thinking too much about what the wider implications are, and the more traditional, top-down, heavy kind of energies suggest that there could be some clashes on international borders, powers flexing their muscles. Will it be the Russians? Will it be the Chinese? Will it be a Western power? We are going to see some kind of tensions, and it could work out or be played out through trade implications. Maybe the stock market is really going to be rocked, but I think between now and the middle of October, some big stuff is coming our way. Aries, your ruler Mars is really stirring, and of course is going to be in a kind of more assertive mode right through till the start of January next year. If you use this energy wisely, it can really see you instigate some kind of new project, flow or ambition, and get traction behind it. But you must be conscious of the fact that there may be some traditional forces, whether it's your parents, whether it's a boss, whether it's the way society has always been, that may resist something from you if it's more radical, or you're determined to overturn some kind of unfairness or resistance as you see it. So some kind of power battle can play out. And also, although this may be the case, there's part of you that just wants to be in the moment when it comes to your resources or your creativity. But because Neptune and Pluto are both in quincunxes with the Sun, which is in your sister fire sign of Leo, if there is a creative flourish that you're wanting to show, you just have to understand the psychology, Neptune, and also what the implications are in terms of your role in life. So there are no shortcuts to progress this week. I think we all need to be as diplomatic yet determined as we possibly can be, sort of conscious that there may be some incoming coming our way, even if we feel that we don't deserve it, and just being watchful because there can be some challenges, some very forceful challenges. But also by the end of this week, it can be an opportunity for you to really thrive. And if you do get together with some friends, I think it could be a delightful celebration. You may even, with Uranus and Venus in the sparkling alliance. If it's possible, wherever you live, invite some people around and spoil them. And I think that can give you a big uplift too. Thank you so much for having joined me. If you'd like to ascend above your zodiac sign, embrace serious astrology, please check out my affordable range of astrology reports below. You can get a 12-month forecast and a character analysis for 30% off, or you can choose to have a one-to-one personal consultation with me. Please see my testimonials below. But for now, take care, stay safe, and good luck.